is a difference between you and me. We both looked into the abyss. But when it looked back at us, you blinked.
Welcome to WROL Broadcast. I am Hatemael. With me today we have special guest Angrifier. Is that Angrifier?
Ungreifer.
Angrifer. Man, I knew I was going to butcher that. I knew it. And then Dr. Zibarro.
It's okay. It's German, so I'll forgive you this one time.
So what we want to do is we have some new content we're going to be bringing to you on WRL Broadcast. We are partnering with Angrifier. It's going to take me a while.
Just put it this way. Pronounce the EI as a hard R, as a hard I. Ungreifer.
Angrifer. Okay.
Perfect.
So Angrifer has been somebody we've chatted with off and on throughout the years. He's did an outtake for us on an episode. It's a couple. What was it? 2 years ago? It was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, it is. The time doesn't mean anything in 2020, 2021.
Exactly.
That could have been 30 years ago. I have no idea.
And with Protensis and Rundown, look like they've scaled back a little bit on DC Legends and aren't doing episodes on it anymore. Angrifer is it's just gonna take me a while. He's gonna be doing some mid-game content and had some really cool, interesting ideas for this episode. So why don't you tell us just a little bit about your DC Legends background and kind of what got you into the game and what you've been doing?
Well, I started playing DC Legends about 3 years ago. It was on a train from Italy with my girlfriend. I was bored. I downloaded DC Legends, started playing it, and got addicted, basically, and almost quit after like 6 months because I just didn't have an alliance. And then I met the alliance that I'm in now with Dr. Zibarro, who is my alliance mate in the Drunken Irish Alliance. And
nice.
This was my first MMORPG, actually, and I fell in love with it from there. These guys, this alliance is like really close-knit. I have a lot of love for all of them, and they pulled me along and taught me everything. That's why I called Dr. Zibarro my Yoda, because anytime I had a question, I would go to him, and he would somehow have the answer. He's a genius. So yeah, and I've been playing it ever since, and now that I've gotten to what I would consider myself in-game, I kind of want to hand on that knowledge down to others.
And Dr. Zibarro, how about you? What got you into the game and how long you been playing?
I think I've been playing 3 years now. Anybody remember when Batman Beyond came out? Something I think it was around that.
Oh, it was February. It was February 2018 because I remember grinding every day, and I actually got him L5 as a free-to-play player because I didn't have an alliance, so I was grinding for those frags.
Yeah, it was around that period, and I was in the middle of doing some graduate work at the time, not watching TV or anything, so something to entertain myself, and I dedicated to it for quite a long time. Went in and out of a few alliances, and I spent most of my time with the Drunken Irish, but I did a little stint with Zara's group before I took a hiatus last summer, and I had to take a break for 3 months, but I've been back since October, I think.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. And I think I'm gonna have to release this on St. Patty's Day now, just in honor of you guys' alliance.
Yeah,
it'll probably take me 2 or 3 days to get it ready.
It kind of fits. And actually, he's Dr. Zibarro is a huge Green Lantern head, so the color scheme would match up as well.
It's a lot of Lantern. The Lantern fans in this game is just unbelievable.
I'm not a Lantern guy, and I can't remember who. It was actually someone from, I can't remember who, but one of the people who were on the podcast with you who recommended that I actually read Blackest Night, and that was the first time I had ever liked the Lanterns. And
was it the boy?
Yes, it was the boy.
He's the biggest Lantern fan on the planet.
Yeah. So I read it, and I read every comic I could get my hands on. I loved it. So that's the only time I actually liked the Lanterns. That and Jon Stewart and Kyle Rayner.
And before we start the episode, just wanted to let you all know we will have in the show notes Angrifer Angry.
Almost
So close. Has his own YouTube channel outside of what he'll be doing with WROL. Had great content on there. Be sure you like and subscribe. We'll be in the show notes and across the screen. So anyway, go ahead and let's go ahead and kick off what you got going on.
Okay, so in this episode, this kind of maiden voyage, I did one video that is centered around Riddle Me This, which is basically anyone from the community, anyone who's playing the game, ask us questions and we'll just answer them and try to debate it to the best of our ability. And the reason why I think this format's going to work really well is because Hatemael, Dr. Zibarro, and myself have very different playing styles and very different things that we do within the game. And so don't ever, in my opinion, don't ever take just one person's advice. Take a pool of advice and then come to your own conclusion. I'm not right, Hatemail's not right, Dr. Zibarro's not right. The truth is somewhere in the middle. And so I released a video this past Friday and asked for a few questions. And I have a couple of questions here that I got from Reddit. You guys have the file, I'm assuming now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so what we will do is go through these two questions, and then after that, we're going to do a fantasy draft, which is actually just kind of a gateway into discussing other tunes in the game. But to be frank, I've gotten a little bit too competitive with the concept of this fantasy draft, and I did a video about the strategy I want to take on. And I think once Hatemael and Dr. Zibarro see this video, they're going to realize how pathetic I actually am. So, we're going to start with the first question from Cap to It. And this one, what tunes should people concentrate on going from Gear 10 to Gear 11? Obviously, unless you're a whale, you can only pick a few to be G11. So the consequences could be dire if you pick the wrong ones. So let's start off with Hatemael. Like, what are your views on which characters you should focus on from G10 to G11?
So I think a lot of people initially will rush to say, you need to get the S tier Black Flash, Azrael tunes. And those probably are solid answers because those two characters are so strong. But the only thing I would caution is that you really want to stick with the characters that have kind of survived the test of time. Actually, the very first person I would concentrate on personally would be Hal Jordan Green Lantern. Because he's always been good. He's only had probably a brief period between Gear 10 and before Gear 11 before he wasn't very useful. Mm-hmm. And certain characters like that always seem to be around the meta. They may not be the character that you run on every team, but they're going to be a solution solver. And you kind of need some of those characters that are going to get you through some of those matches that will help you survive. I do think Black Flash, especially for PvE, is a character that probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So those are the types of characters I would really focus on. Your Arcus he's been around since almost the beginning at this point. He went through a brief period before his rework where he was power crept. But,
well, once his rework came in, he became devastating. Like, jeez.
Yeah,
his rework, I remember that when that came out, and I was just like, what? And he replaced Larfleeze as like the hardest hitting green at that point.
Yeah, and I have to admit, I'm getting really tired of seeing certain Black Flash, Azrael, Arcus. Like that seems like every now. But as a newer player, those really are going to carry you, through some of those matches that you may struggle with. So there.
Dr. Zibarro, what would you say to a player who's moving from G10 to G11? Where should their focus be?
Well, that's funny because actually Hal Jordan would have been my first recommendation too, because it's farmable. You want to focus on these farmable characters. Think red alerts as well as the campaign, and what characters have stood the test of time, just like Hatemael has did. And I think especially Hal Jordan, it came to my mind because Harley Quinn. Oh God, Harley Quinn. Let me make a public.
Go ahead.
Public service announcement. Nobody likes you if you're using Harley Quinn.
Awesome cartoon. No, the cartoonist out is amazing. I love the cartoon. It's so.
I still have yet to watch that. I hear it's good.
It's really good. It's remarkably violent, but it's actually really good and really well written, I would say.
My challenge is time. I just never have enough time for everything.
I totally understand. I watch it during lunch breaks, so. So I guess my view on G10 to G11 is a combination of what you two said, which would be, I would lean towards Hal Jordan, despite the fact that I think he's remarkably boring, he is remarkably consistent, and that's why he is boring. Like, he's going to be there and you can rely on him. We've had a Lex meta, we've had Martian Manhunter, we've had all kinds of tunes come and go, but what's guaranteed is that on my PvP board, I'm going to see Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, at least a couple of them. But then also, they need to be farmable. So you want to look at your Etrigans and Power Girls and Star Sapphires that you can get from Red Alerts. Star Sapphire, I believe, also has a node in Chapter 6 Heroic. So
He's
the
a great
ones that
choice.
yeah. And since she was already good before her rework, but since her rework, she's been incredible. She's replaced a lot of the mystics that I used beforehand just because of her debuff immunity, and she does take out, or is very good at taking out the Arcus and the Azrael. But tunes that you get easy access to the frags, because there's no point for me if you're like early mid game to late mid game taking an L1 Black Flash to gear 11 simply because you don't know when the next time you're going to see his frags are. And he's good at, well, no, actually Black Flash is a bad example of that. Let's say Lady Shiva. There's no point in taking a Lady Shiva to gear 11 if she's only L1 or R5, because you don't know when you're going to be able to take her to L2, L3, L4, unless you're willing to buy those packs. So if you are a minnow to free to play and you want to take tunes to G11, then go for the ones that you can constantly farm their frags and get them up to the L3s, L4s, L5s. And then that way you know that they'll be consistently used in your roster.
I'll add just a couple more if folks are looking for in terms of the middle players here. Obviously, things that are farmable and red alerts would be Power Girl. I'm looking at my roster here. Etrigan would be a good choice.
Love Etrigan.
And then, although Martian Manhunter isn't farmable, if you can get him, you really need him to get around the turn meter.
And that reminds me, to that point, as opposed to Martian Manhunter, I would say Cheetah, because she has so many nodes in campaign, and she does the same turn meter manipulation that Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is better in my view, but she does that similar thing at lead.
Yeah, she's a good choice.
Yeah. So, all right. So, do we want to move on to question number 2?
Let's go.
Sure.
Okay. This question comes from Manny. And the question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of going from between gear 10.5 and 11? And Dr. Zibarro, let's start off with you this time.
All right. Well, obviously, when I played the game, I played at gear 60-10 for a very long time. I'd say like two years, and then only just a year ago I decided to go gear 70.
I remember when you did.
Or gear 11, I'm sorry. And I'd held back, but when I had such a deep roster, probably like 60 or 70, 60-10s, like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. So I started to slowly go at gear 10.5, and the number one advantage is that you can dominate Wraith PvP if you want, because you'll get points upwards. I can't even remember what the numbers are because I haven't seen this so long. But what's the highest one? Is it 20?
Yeah,
20.
13 to 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous. I mostly see 6-point matches now since I've gone Rebirth in full gear 11. So I always comfortably finish in top 1500. That's never a problem, just doing the dailies. Mm-hmm. But if I want to push for top 100, forget about it. You're just even if you make it to top 100 and somebody decides to push in the last hour, they're going to beat you because you're only going to be getting 6-point matches on your board. That said, with Azrael being the reward this week, I'm seeing a lot more 9-point matches on my board. I think because there's a lot more people buying for Azrael this week.
Oh, this week's gonna be just pure insanity.
I wanted to go for Azrael this week, and I got talked down from Mihai. I think Mihai was the one who talked me down from it. But I've done the push for top 100 twice as a 70-11 player, and one time I got it with Red Hood, and one time I missed it barely. And when I tell you that grind was so hard at Gear 11 that I damn near quit. And it cost me so many gems. And at the end of the day, granted, it was cheaper than buying a pack because I spent 4,000 gems to get to the top 100. But then at the same time, if you miss it, then you've just wasted 4,000 gems to get, 105, to be at rank 105. And the drop off is so huge that it's not worth it unless you know you can. So
It's the Gear 11 or the Wraith grinding. I've toyed with the idea to go in top 100 a couple times. I only get 3 to 6. I don't get any other ones ever, except for like once, and I think Vincent and like one other person gives me 9 points. But the teams I get are so brutal anymore, especially with the meta they currently are. You're not even guaranteed to get 6 points, especially if you're trying to rush through them and you just create an auto team that loses, every 6 matches. So it's
true.
They're all
True.
36,000, 40,000 teams, and it's slow. So
Yes.
I think the grind's worse than raids. So it's not worth it at all.
Well, to me, truth be told, if I could, the one thing that I would go back on, or the one thing I would change, is I would have never gone to Gear 11. I would have stayed at 10.5. Because if I'm looking at 10.5, no matter how much I grind, I'm going to get matches where the point total, because I'm 70-11 and hey, you're 80-11. And so you getting mostly 6, I get mostly 6 to 9s, but as a 10.5, like Dr. Zibarro said, you get 20s. You get 20-point matches. And I saw one of those. I've seen 3 of those this week, and I just about lost my mind because I was like, oh wow, I'd never see this. It's a unicorn. So
Well, I think you can do Gear 11 70, because I know a few people that have started going to that. It's just if you start the rebirths, that's when you.
Yeah.
And I also only all my rebirths, with the exception of 2, are RB5, so I don't do the regular rebirths for some reason. I feel like it's a waste if you don't go all the way up. I know it's probably smarter to just do RB3 if you're playing that way, but you're still only going to get 3 to 6. But I would say the advantage to going full max out is that you will be able to compete higher in Siege. You will be able to perform better in raids. So depending on how much you want to play raids, if you're you're grinding all weekend on raids, then it might be worth it to get, because you're going to get the extra shards, the extra materials. You can perform higher in Siege. If you do really well, you could do top 60 without buying. Or if you plan to buy, if you make top 10, it's worth it. That's the only way it's worth it. And then the other thing, the new caveat that may change this entire thing is this challenge coming up.
Oh, the nightmare. I can't wait to see what that is.
So if that is legitimately hard, and we've been hearing through the grapevine that it's going to be, if that is legit hard and the rewards are worth it, then that may give you a reason to want to gear out your characters. Otherwise, like you guys said, if you need shards from Wraith, and in some cases, especially if you're like an end game player and you've been playing since the beginning, you probably don't need the shards most of the time, so you don't really care. But if you need the shards, especially if you're newer, I'd definitely hold off, and then see Red Alerts. Red Alerts good. I mean, all my Red Alerts are ridiculous teams. 4 RB5
Really?
teams.
So wait, with your Red Alerts are more, because for me, Red Alerts are just a menial task. I just do it. I set up one team and then I can just basically run through Red Alerts in 10 minutes. Is it harder for you at 80-11?
It wasn't before. It isn't anymore because of Black Flash. But every now and again, my last 4 matches are, and I usually always get 4 RB5 tunes. So they're level 80 RB5, but if I get MJ Azrael, that's when it starts becoming a little more challenging. Especially if the other day I lost Lex turn 1 because an RB3 Coda nuked him. So,
I haven't taken Coda up yet. I was going to, and then I switched over to Superwoman, which, by the way, Superwoman, she slaps.
oh, she
Like,
does crazy damage.
And the funny part is, and I did a video on her 60-10, and I took her 70-11 today, and I'm going to do that video probably tomorrow. And I was getting frustrated because I thought that her usually with most tunes that have a single target attack on an A3, the A3 is the harder hitting attack. And that's not true. Her A1 hits way harder. So all you have to do is just plop her on an Atrocitus team, and she's laying down for 70-11. She's laying down 70k plus damage.
Well, her 3 will, when she's maxed out, her 3, you can nuke every green, take blues down to probably close to nothing. She's probably going to be one of the most terrifying characters at Rebirth 5 because she will be able to kill greens, reds, and blues with her AoE for crits.
I did a comparison of her with Lady Shiva, and I'm going to put that video out too. And I was trying to see who would be more effective against Black Flash, and I think by a good margin, by looking at it, she's only L2 and my Lady Shiva's L3, I want to say, and by a pretty decent margin, I would say it was Superwoman. Which I'm trying to find a baseline for like mid-game and early game players to show a comparison of the damage, so you know like which to invest in and which not.
Oh, I meant with the AoE. I was referring to Wonder Woman Coda, not
Oh.
Yeah, for lowest Superwoman, her basic is by far the strongest. Her basic's insane.
So you think that investing in Wonder Woman Coda would be worth it?
Yeah, I think both of them are. Really, it's hard for me to say which is better because
if you had to choose one, then I'm putting you on the spot. You have no money. You just lost all your money in a terrible gambling accident. You have no home and you're playing DC Legends under a bridge. You have to invest the rest of your gems in one, Coda or Superwoman. Who are you picking?
Probably would lean Superwoman only because, and this is only because I think she's going to be a forever raid tune. She's going to be a top tier raid tune probably from here on out. Okay. She's at L2, we were using her on Owls for, and she was outperforming RB5. What's her name? The X5 character. I just blanked out her name. You know what I'm talking about? She was the 510. Shiva, yeah. Shiva? Yeah, she was keeping pace with an RB5 Shiva, so.
Whoa.
At L2, and not being a bonus tune. So.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. All right. I think this raid coming up, her and Darkseid are just you're gonna wreck. You're gonna fly through the matches.
That's awesome.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, very.
But otherwise, outside of the raids, I think Coda's gonna be overall probably a better character in PvP. I mean, I've been using her on M4 came up with the idea. If you've seen M4's videos, he's always a top siege player, and he had come up with this team. It was Hal Jordan, Clayface, Wonder Woman, Coda, and Azrael, and you can run that on auto against almost every team. So you want to get attacked first because Azrael and Coda their counterattacks just destroy everything.
And I can't stand Azrael. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of this, and I'm so sick of. And the thing is now that I have a method or a strategy of taking him out easily. It's just obnoxious that I have to use the same strategy because it's always the same thing. Whoever at lead doesn't matter. It's going to be Hal Jordan or Martian Manhunter or Cheetah, and then you have Arcus, Azrael, and Black Flash, and it's like you couldn't be more creative than that. Like, come on. Like, this must be boring for you too to keep running the same team, right?
Yeah, I mean, because of Wraith is so obnoxious, I'm just getting my 27 matches for Siege. But what I really want to see, I think I was been thinking about like what could they make that would counter Azrael, because it's really hard because he's the way he's set up. There's no obvious counter, and the closest thing to a counter would be Stargirl and what's his name?
Kilowog is the counter that I use for him.
Yeah, but if he's under Hal Jordan.
But I usually use a debuff stripper to get the debuffs off of him beforehand, if I can manage to.
Yeah, but sometimes he still procs and he still goes crazy. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
not. It's
Once
a
he
counter,
goes,
but
you're
it's not a
screwed.
hard. Yeah, it's not a hard counter. So I'm trying to think of like what would be a hard counter. So Stargirl could do it, but I think we need somebody who passively purges immunities. So if they if his buff immunity was passively purged, then suddenly Stargirl would make him utterly useless. So I think that's something we're missing as a character eventually.
True. But here's the other question: with Stargirl and Aqualad, because they changed the strength ups to strength downs. If you're doing that with those two, they may not debuff him, but will they at least strip away his strength down, his strength ups?
I don't think I can't. I think once he gets the debuff immunity, I'm not sure. I don't think they do. They might though. I haven't used it in so long.
I
I really need
I
to
might
see.
actually experiment with that later on today because I'm thinking like, okay, it may not turn to strength downs, but at least get rid of the strength ups, and then you can work your way around it that way.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to test that. Mess around
And
with
the
that.
other thing that I do is that if I can manage, is I'll go with Black Flat. Well, no, because you're right. It's still the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. I use Star Sapphire a lot against Arcus and Azrael just because once she lays down that debuff or that buff immunity on her A3, if she goes, then they can't do anything about it after the fact, and then they just become easy pickings.
Well, that was the other reason I used him for his team. Was one because it's one of the only teams in a while that works on auto, but my defense log looks so good, and I know it's frustrating the heck out of people. So.
Yes, it is. So, let's move on to the draft. Now, for those of you who have actually watched the video on my channel of me freaking out over my draft strategy, the worst thing that happened, the thing that I was wishing for not to happen in that video actually happened, and I am smack dab in the middle. So, for those of you who don't know how fantasy drafts work, what we're going to do is we're going to take the pool of characters from DC Legends, and each person gets a turn. This is going to be what's called a Serpentine Draft. Hatemail goes first, I go second, Dr. Zibarro goes third, and then in the second round, the order reverses. It goes Dr. Zibarro, myself, then Hatemail, and then it reverses again. Once one of us has selected a tune, that tune is off the board, and the next player, and that tune can no longer be selected at all. The idea behind this isn't just to pick the best tunes, but we're trying to build a team to actually face each other. And I wish that DCL would give us some way to do live PvP, but we know that's not going to happen. So we can just go ahead and actually get started. So I wish I had the ESPN sounder to go but I don't because, trademark, and I hope me humming that doesn't get us sued. So round one, pick one goes to Hatemail. Who is your first pick?
We talked about it earlier. It's an easy choice. Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Really?
Yep.
I did not think that would be the first choice. I was convinced it would be someone else.
That is my first choice.
Okay. All right. That kind of leaves something open for me. But then now I already know how you're going to build your team, and that's really going to upset me. I already see how your team's going. Damn it. Okay. So then my first pick, I'm going to go with Martian Manhunter. Turn meter manipulation and the awareness is just too good to turn away from me. I'm really surprised that I don't even have Hal Jordan on my board. So shows you how much I love him. And Dr. Zibarro, who is going to be your first pick?
All right. Well, you make it difficult putting me last here. There's a couple things I have in mind. I could go with one team that handles a lot of things except evasion. Then there's evasion. Or I could just start picking out the S tiers. See what happens. Oh, make it difficult putting me here because I was going to pick Martian Manhunter.
Well, see, that's the thing. I wanted to be in the spot that you're in now because I knew one specific team or a couple of tunes I was going to pick that was going to totally screw over Hatemail. So it's funny. We both didn't get what we wanted.
All right. I think I'll try Black Flash and see what happens.
Damn it. Okay. So Dr. Zibarro's selection is Black Flash, and at the beginning of the second round. Now you get to pick another.
Okay. Let me see. Let me do. Oh, this is difficult.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as easy as you would think it's going to be, right? Because now you know that, like, 'cause that's
You have Martian Manhunter. He has
Green Lantern, Hal Jordan.
We need to do a 30-second timer.
Okay.
Well,
I'll just
typically,
call Shiva.
typically there's
Call
2
Shiva
minutes
and
on the clock.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to type into the chat just so we can have be able to keep up with who is out, just so we don't get too confused. And then I'm going to go ahead and put DZ, your second round pick.
What are you picking?
Oh, no, it's
Your
you.
pick.
It's your pick. It's your pick.
Oh, I picked Shiva. I already
Lady
said it.
Shiva?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Lady Shiva. So you've taken Black Flash and you've taken the obvious counter to Black Flash. Ugh. So now I can go one of 2 ways. I can do the thing that I prefer to do, but if Hatemail has that debuff immunity for the first 2 turns, then the thing that I love to do in PvP to auto teams might not be worth it. But if I don't pick Azrael, he's going to pick Azrael. That is for sure. All right, you know what? I have to do it. I'm going to go with Hawk Girl.
Oh, stealing my girl.
I have to. Actually, you were the one who got me into Stunlock teams. I'm a turn meter manipulator, like, lover, but once Hawk Girl had that slight rework, she just became the best. Like, she's one of the top 3 in the game to me in terms of who I play with. So now,
like you said, as much as I hate him, I recognize his value. So I'm gonna have to go Azrael at this point.
ugh, can't stand you.
So,
I already hate your team. All right, so Azrael, and then who is your first pick for the 3rd round?
oh, is it me again?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Serpentine Draft.
Well, I'm gonna go with the team that's been working against everything. So I'm gonna take Wonder Woman Coda.
Damn you. Okay, so Wonder Woman Coda. Now, if you're gonna leave, you know what? No, I think I can pick her up later because I know that Dr. Zibarro won't pick her up. I'm almost positive he won't. Now watch, I pick someone else and he takes exactly who I want. Damn it.
Let's see. Let us see.
I think I just have to go old school with Mr. Tried and True himself. He's been around forever and everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Kaga.
And that's Castaway Green Arrow for those
Castaway Green
of you who
Arrow for
know
those.
the acronyms.
Yeah, sorry. Castaway Green Arrow. He's just, ever since I got him and started working on him, he's been, to me, if he's not the best in the game, he's close to it.
All right, so my turn.
Yes, sir.
All right, with Champion of the Amazons out there, I think I'm going to take Brainiac.
Brainiac.
That's a good.
Just for that, those help protect against those out of turn retaliations.
Okay.
Then with thinking Azrael, actually my usual response to Azrael is Arcus, so I'm going to take Arcus.
Ooh. So you take Arcus. Okay. So now that it's back to me, and I was right, you did not take who I was hoping. You didn't take her. But now I'm wondering if I should change my You know what? No, because I have to go with them. They're the best. They're the most beautiful couple I've ever seen. Their relationship is better than most relationships I've ever seen. I'm gonna take Killer Frost.
Man of my heart. Killer Frost, Hot Girl. It's funny because it's so hard to find teams where they work well together. Like they work well together because the meta just never really allows for you to have both of them on the same team too often. But I do like both of them under Darkseid. They work pretty well.
I haven't used Darkseid yet. Well, I'm waiting for him after the season.
If you like stuns, you will love him.
Yeah.
Love.
Good.
It'd
I'm
be
looking
cool
forward to
if
it.
they opened some additional slots, like you could play a team of 5 or a team of 6.
I was wondering why they wouldn't, like in terms of content itself, I mean, they could really just do an 8v8 PvP if they wanted to, or a 5v5 or 6v6. They have all the materials there. They just have to drop in the new game mode, and that's it.
I would like to see that too. That'd be so much fun.
It totally would be. And it just opens up a whole nother level of strategy that you'd have to use. So, round 4.
I'm up.
Hatemael.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Clayface to finish that team.
So finishing that team that is so reliable for you. Now, explain to me very quickly. You said that it works really well together. Explain to me how this team works in your view.
So they can't be debuffed, they can't be stunned, so it handles all of that. It handles Harley Quinn, Mad Jester, because Hal Jordan's is the first to go on that team. So, and you want to go last, so you are happy to face Martian Manhunter and Black Flash, because as soon as they slam into your team, they piss off Wonder Woman and Azrael. With the exception of Hal, the 3 of them are strength based, so as soon as Wonder Woman procs, she gives them all strength up.
Well, Hal is strength based too. His A1 is actually strength based, and his A3 is the special damage one.
Yeah, so, but Hal, he's not there for damage. All he's there for is the debuff immunity, and even at RB5, he doesn't do that much damage. But, I mean, his hammer does okay, but your damage dealers, you only need 2, and that's Azrael and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, she'll nuke all the greens, so Azrael's protected. And then Azrael gets rid of all the debuff, or gets rid of all the buffs on other tunes that you're worried about with his purge. So the team just handles everything. I mean, it's not a team I would, worry about. It's not fun. It's not a fun team, but it's effective.
Gotcha. Okay.
In fact, I'm running it in the background as we're doing this, as just on auto.
So now, who are you picking first in round 5? Your first alternate.
My first alternate, this is the harder one. I think I'm gonna go with Metallo.
Really? I never use him.
Wait,
ever.
Hold on. Is this
have him leveled.
drafting them at RB5 or are we drafting them at L5?
Either. I guess strength-wise.
He's great at RB5. He sucks at L5. So.
Oh, good point. Well, Dr. Zibarro and I aren't RB5 at all, so we don't know how they perform there.
If we're not doing that, to stick with this theme, let me go with Chemo.
Say that again, Chemo?
I'll go with Chemo because he's a counter attacker and
Damn it.
trying to piss off the Black Flash.
I was hoping I could pick him up last. Damn, I thought he'd be forgotten. Okay, so you've taken Chemo first, round 1. Seeing as how you seem like you're going to be buffing like a madman, I'm just going to go ahead and take Wonder Girl. Hopefully she can remove some of those debuffs and smack you around a little bit. Dr. Zibarro, who are you taking round 5?
All right, so I guess I get 2 picks right in a row here.
Yep, this will be your 5th and your last pick.
I guess Lex.
I'm assuming Lex SS.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't pick like this under. I'm only picking like this under the circumstances of which this draft is playing out. Let me see. And then nobody picked Harley, right?
No.
Nope, nobody picked Harley.
I think we do it out of hatred for the character.
100%.
Okay. I need a taunter, so let me go with Lobo.
Lobo. Oh, damn! I can't believe I forgot Lobo. I totally forgot Lobo. So, Dr. Zibarro, same question that I just sent to Hate Mail. How do you see your team working? Out of your six, who would be your starting four? And then how do you see their mechanics working together?
Well, I would see, based on what I was picking, somewhat on what I was hearing folks picking here. So I see Brainiac countering sort of the issues of counterattacks from Champion of the Amazons, and just in counterattacks in general. Then you have Martian Manhunter, and his speed with Black Flash speed will give me the advantage. Should let Black Flash go first, I think. Even though you have Martian Manhunter. I'm not 100% on that, actually.
You know what's funny? Sometimes, and I've noticed this in PvP, and someone helped me out on this, where I'll try to match up Black Flash and Martian Manhunter, and in some of the matches, the defense still goes before me. And I don't know if that lends itself to what you're saying, or if it's because one of them is RB5 or RB whatever. But sometimes, usually the tie goes to the offense. But for some reason, and it's happened pretty consistently, where I will see a Martian Manhunter and Black Flash. So then I'll put a Martian Manhunter and Black Flash in, and the defense still goes first.
The only way that would work is if somebody's doing some type of turn meter down, passive turn meter down of some kind, or if they have Brainiac on the team too.
Maybe that's what it is. I haven't noticed if Brainiac was. That might be it, actually. Okay. So then, then that means that you would probably go. Yeah, that means I think your Black Flash would then outpace us.
And you took the best counter to Clayface, which is Wonder Girl. So I'm just gonna have to beat on him for a little bit until I get him whittled down. And what were my alternates? Lex and Lobo?
Yeah.
Well, also, you can say if you would rather have one of your alternates as a starter, because I'm going to put these up as these are the four that you're going to start with, and the other two are alternates. So if you wanted to have Lex or Lobo as one of the starters, you could do that as well.
Okay.
So how would you want your starting four to look?
I guess just the four that I'd probably, my starting four would be Brainiac, Black Flash, Lobo, Arcus. Based on what I have.
That is an absolute nightmare.
I'll use Shiva as my alternate.
Shiva and Lex are your alternates, and that's an absolute nightmare. Thank you for that. Yeah, because you can't even get to Arcus, and if he gets a chance to ramp up by round 2, he's knocking heads. So, okay, so now this is my final pick. I am not sitting. Let's see. I could go with. Oh, wait a second. I'm trying to think of affinity balance, but there is one that I think he's really underrated, and I'm not sure if I should take him or a taunter. But the way that it's going, I have the awareness. Lady Shiva would take out the awareness and could probably smack my Wonder Girl. The debates. Oh my goodness, I don't know. Why am I so nervous about this? This is a make-believe draft. Like nothing happens. Why am I stressing out about this so much? I'm gonna be up tonight. Like, damn, I should have picked. Like, I'm stressing out about this. Okay. Let me pick.
Let me propose something too, as you're thinking. When we finish all this, I'd be interested in each of us asking what is your favorite team if it isn't what's on this draft pick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, awesome. We can definitely do that. That's actually changed a lot since Martian Manhunter and Cheetah broke the meta, the Lex meta, which lasted for way too long. Jeez, I'm holding everything up because I really cannot make a decision right now. And I feel as though I'm worried about Dr. Zibarro's team a little bit more, just because he is probably going to go first, especially with yeah. All right, fine. Donna Troy.
Donna
That
Troy
will
it
be
is.
my final pick is Donna Troy.
And
And hate mail.
My last one, because I have my counter to the speed team in debuffers. So the only thing I don't have a good counter to is a revive team, so I'm gonna go with Artemis.
I knew I had her. I had her sitting there looking at her. Artemis.
That's a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Artemis kind of fell off, not in the sense of her ability and how useful she is, but in the fact that people don't use her nearly as much as I thought they would. She's still an awesome tune.
Yeah, I still think she's S tier character, but she's just with Azrael and now Shiva, and I mean I don't know how much Lois is going to be in the meta, but she's we'll see how that plays out. But just there's just such strong reds. It's kind of like how if you're not using a green leader, you don't really see too many green characters outside of Arcus, because it's just why bring them?
Yeah, true. True. So now, Dr. Zibarro, since it was your suggestion, let me know, what is your favorite team to go with?
I will say one of the teams I've been using a lot recently is Martian Manhunter, Black Flash, Arcus, and Lobo. And you essentially, the opponent never gets a turn with that team. As soon as you get a death, Lobo kicks in, turning the meter down, and you just keep just whack them off one by one with that. So that's what I've used. I sort of like it because I like to get auto going these days instead of to get through the matches. Well, one of the tried and true ones that I thought about putting for the draft pick here is my ultimate turn meter control team, which I don't like using because it's a big time investment, but it has helped me punch above my weight class very, very, like 10K as much.
Yeah.
And the key to it is a dynamic duo, which is the world's greatest detective and Red Robin.
Red Robin, yeah. Yeah,
so you use Lex and
You
Donna
love that
Troy
duo.
with them. And you essentially use Red Robin's turn meter on his second ability on World's Greatest Detective, and you put him in a time loop, and you just start stacking awareness, and the opponent team never takes a turn, ever.
And
now
it's so defensive that even if they do get a turn, they can't get through the awareness.
Yeah, now of course there are some troublesome characters. Wonder Girl will whip you because all those buffs. Superboy gains turn meter passively. Evasion is a problem for that team. If you don't have those issues, then really that team helps you punch above your weight class in a way that you're not able to otherwise.
Okay. I had that situation. I can't remember, but I did use that combination, and I thought of you because I was like, this is the duo that you love. And I had Wonder Girl on the other side, and the thing that was great about it was, and maybe my RNG was being favorable to me at the time, even when she cracked the whip, she never really got a hold of us because we were stacking so much awareness that it just didn't matter at a certain point. So, hate mail. Who is the team that you love the most? Is it the Green Lantern Azrael or?
Oh no, I mean that's just my auto team. I don't particularly find that to be a fun team, so I don't use that. Anytime I can get away with it, or I'm actually playing just to experiment with characters or have fun, the team I've had the most fun with lately is Martian Manhunter, Impulse, Metallo, and Darkseid. It handles just about every team extremely well, except for Martian Manhunter. Actually, Hal Jordan Azrael teams it kind of struggles against because you can't always deal with Azrael immediately. But Impulse, because he's faster than Black Glass, you can use him against almost every team. Harley teams, Evasion teams, it doesn't do well against either. But it's just a fun team. I really like it. The other team sorry, go
Are
ahead.
you using Darkseid out of lead for that composition?
It's funny because I actually think Darkseid out of lead is my preference at the moment. He's great in lead, but outside of lead, he's so good. I mean, he's borderline S tier character, and at L1, I'm using him in Siege a ton, and his basic will kill most greens.
So you think do you think at lead he's S tier and out of lead he's close to S tier, or?
I mean, in lead he's not always, because you can't survive some of these speed teams because you need Martian Manhunter or whatever. I mean, if you're running him as lead and then you're running the Azraels of the world to protect against speed, and maybe with Harley, my Harley never dodges, so it doesn't work for me. But I mean, he does so much damage. I mean, you just open with his basic, guaranteed stun every single time on his basic. So I like him on call assist teams because he'll just slam. I mean, he even kills reds with his basic, so it doesn't take a lot. He's a fun character. So he's an instant RB5 for me. On his sale, I'll buy the shards to get him to RB4 and then finish him off with raids in the next PvP. He's a fun character. I think he's gonna be crazy good at RB5 because his AoE is just gonna demolish everything.
All right, cool. And you were about to say a second. Go ahead.
It can't miss, right? Is that the one? Is that the ability that can't miss?
His second can't miss. It does a lot of damage too, but his 3 does crazy damage once he's buffed up.
Okay.
He's got 2 AoEs and they're both super strong. But his basic.
I planned on gearing him anyhow, but now that gives me even more confidence. So thanks for that information.
Yeah, and it's not just me as a stun. Being high on stuns, all the owls that have him love him. I mean, in L1, he's super impressive at Legendary 1, which is rare.
I'm saving resources now so I can just go ahead and take him 70-11 as soon as I get him out of the box. As soon as Siege is over, that's what I'm going to do with him. I'll do a 60-10 video on him like I do for all new tunes to put on YouTube, but then literally as soon as I'm done recording that video, I'm taking him 70-11.
Yeah, he's fun, awesome character. They did a really good job with him. So, and then my usual stun comp: Hal Jordan, Catwoman, Donna Troy, Killer Frost. If Black Flash isn't on the other team because it can't handle speed teams, it works against everything else still today. And Catwoman's so good.
Is stupidly underrated. She is so good, and I need to take her RB1. She is so underrated as a tune. She's incredible.
Especially, she's one of the few tunes that can deal with Azrael better than really any other tune.
Yeah.
And Arcus, she does so good with both of
them. I love my stun teams, but if in terms of just fun, I love Red Hood, and now Black Flash, Kaga, and Wally West, just because the only thing I do is just manipulate turn meter the entire time, so the other team never gets a chance to go. If I can get away with it, it depends on what I'm facing. But the team that I love the most using is kind of a combination of just evasion, which is you have Batgirl at lead, you have Harley Quinn, because under Batgirl, Harley Quinn actually evades.
Not mine. Did you see my Reddit post today?
Look, okay, you need to buy a new phone because something is up. You've been complaining about your RNG for like 3 years, and I don't know if did you upset somebody at do you have an iPhone or Android?
I have iPhone,
and so did you upset somebody at the Apple store? Because it feels like somebody's just following you and torturing you for the rest of your life.
I think WB gets mad during my complaint.
Well, here's the thing. You can get mad when I complain, but are you getting mad because I'm complaining, or are you getting mad because I'm right? There's the question.
No, I said WB gets mad that I complain. So
that's what I'm saying. But my point is like, you can get mad at me for complaining, but what I'm complaining about true, and that's why you're mad? Because we have this saying, and it's not a great saying, but it's hit dogs holler. And if you're hurt because you know it's true, that's why they're so. I'm going to stick to PG language right now, but there's a reason why they're not so happy about it and why they keep trying to push Harley Quinn on everyone. And I guess it's to promote their show. The show's already awesome, but you keep pushing these Harley Quinn frags on her, and it's on us, and it's like she has a bunch of nodes. You're giving us events of her every other month, and then people still complain. So is that us?
Yeah, I don't know. They love Harley Quinn because as soon as she falls out of the meta, she's back.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a fanboy in this, and I love Harley Quinn too. Don't get it twisted, but there's a fanboy floating around in there somewhere in a senior management position. Like somebody hasn't played with Harley Quinn in the last 2 days. Make an event.
Exactly.
So I use Batgirl, Harley Quinn, Eclipso, and then I have this like flex spot at the end where it can be Batman Beyond, who I'm obsessed with ever since that cartoon came out. It changed my life. Scarecrow, Siren, or Cassidy Kane. And the thing I love about that team is when it does work and when it's popping, if anyone does an AoE attack, then you're going to get hit. Then the counter attacks are going to be between 3 to 6. You get hit back, and that just basically eliminates whoever attacked us with the AoE. And it's just fun to watch. Like there have been times where I've put that team out, and I just try to, and this I call it one of my auto teams, and I know it loses fairly often, but when it's raid, I just don't care. I'm just trying to get to 27. But it's so much fun because a lot of times I'll play and I'll forget to hit auto, and they'll just demolish 3 of the tunes from the other team. And then I look down and the match is just sitting there, and I'm like, why aren't you guys doing it? Oh, I forgot to hit auto. And then I'll hit auto and finish the rest of it off, but they'll eliminate most of a team by themselves just because the evasions and hit chance downs that are being thrown everywhere, like Skittles at Halloween, is just, you can't touch them, and when you try to touch them, they hit you back. So that's the team that's the most fun, but when I say efficiency as an auto team, it's the least efficient auto team that I have. So, in any case, I think that will do it for this episode. So to go back over the fantasy draft, Hatemael took Green Lantern. His starters are Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Azrael, Wonder Woman, Coda, and Clayface. And then his alternates are Chemo and Artemis. Dr. Zibarro, his starters are Black Flash, Brainiac, Arcus, and Lobo, with his alternates being Lady Shiva and Lex. And as for myself, I went with Martian Manhunter, Hawk Girl, Kaga. Ooh, should I change that? No. Kaga and Killer Frost, with my alternates being Wonder Girl and Donna Troy. So I'll let Hatemael go ahead and sign off for us.
Thanks everybody for listening. Take a look out for the post. You're doing a poll, right, for this?
Yeah, I'm going to do a poll on Reddit for them to vote which team they think would come out as the champion.
And then we appreciate everyone listening. Be sure to check out Angry. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel.
That's part of the reason why I wanted you to do the sign off, because I was like, I want him to try to say my name like one more time.
I was like, oh, I got this, and then I stopped, and then I don't have it in front of me, so I knew it screwed up. And we appreciate both of you coming on. We appreciate you doing some content for WROL, so make sure you like and subscribe his channel. Check out all his content, and until next time, thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.